Welcome, everyone in the Automated Success listeners. I'm Joe Langton, and I have the pleasure of having a guest that honestly I've been very excited to have. I saw some videos on LinkedIn about the product that they're working on, and today we have Charles Brian Quinn. I'm going to be calling him CBQ a lot because that's what he goes by. But I'm going to step back and I'm going to allow Charles or CBQ to introduce himself and let you guys know what he's working on and what I'm very excited to talk about with him today.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe, for having me. I'm CQ here, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Greensy. Big fan of the Automating Success podcast. I believe in the mission. As you better believe it, we got to help these landscapers and entrepreneurs automate the things that are repetitive and time wasting so that they can do their best and highest calling work. And well, frankly, that's actually our mission. Our mission at Greensy is to free humans from repetitive outdoor labor. Now, I know that might not resonate with a lot of landscapers, but the bottom line is what we do is we reduce the cost of labor for lawn maintenance with robotics. And we have a very unique robotics. I'm sure we're going to dig in. I believe in commercial landscaping. I have a different theory than a lot of the those dumb robo-mowers, and I'm ready to rip into them a little bit on how dumb they are, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so CBQ, co-founder, CEO, I work at Greensy. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We have about 10, 11, maybe more. There's people starting now. We're hiring like crazy. We've got a bunch of interns starting too. So happy to talk more about that. We're venture back, so we're growing and having fun.
Good. Well, as you know, I mean, I have figured out a way to put those little dumb mowers that you're going to get into to work.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I've always explained, and I will say to everybody, and I'll tell you, is that I've always tried to tell every landscaper that I work with and that I talk to, technology is always going to evolve. Okay.
That's right.
And my thought when I got into this 5 years ago was use what's available to me now, start building market share. Right now I have 157 of those dumb little robots you're talking about, but it's a fleet and it's given me market share. Right. And now I'm excited to talk to someone like you because, once the industry gets rolling, money will start to end up in the automated side of the industry. Companies will get more financial backing. Banks will start to loan for this type of stuff. People's P&Ls will start to look better, and away we go. So yeah, like I said, I'm super excited. So I will let you dive into it. I want you to tell us why yours are so much better. I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So listen, I have a robo mower. I've had one back in 2010. I had one in 98. And I have a few here at the office. I have one at home. Great products. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with, to use the word dumb. We talk about a lot of smart technologies and that kind of thing. The term is maybe overused, but hey, it's my job to be opinionated and I'm going to try and do it. But when I set out to build Greensy, the first question we asked ourselves is, why is there no software-based version of the RoboMower, right? So, you have to put the boundary wire in the yard. And I know that there's some people working on that and there have been for a long time. But we were like, well, why is it just not standard? Like what's going on there? Why, there's all these advancements in self-driving cars and automated vehicles. I have adaptive cruise control. I've got like parking sensor brakes, like all this stuff could be put together and we could do this now. Like, why aren't we? And that was the defining question that said, like, why shouldn't we? Well, let's try it. And so we called up a bunch of commercial landscapers and we asked, like, hey, what are you doing in robotics? And they said, well, to do robo-mowers, like it is a different business, right? It is, as than sort of me coming every week and doing mow, blow, cut, clean, edge, weed, all that other stuff. And it is, you have to mix it in your business. And I think you guys do a good job educating landscapers that, hey, this is not like something you're just going to toss out and be like, hey, we're done. Like, let's roll. Let's count the money. So what we have done is built software that is a boundaryless mower, and we put it on the big commercial mowers. So our smallest unit we offer is a 52-inch, which doesn't do residential, doesn't fit in the gates. Yeah. And what it does is our technology is dumb too. It's a very dumb robo mower, it's a very dumb robotic worker, and that robotic worker does one thing very well, and that's stripe a lawn. So if you go to our YouTube and Instagram, and what you'll see is you mow the boundary, the perimeter of the area you want to stripe. Then you set the mower off and it stays inside that boundary and just stripes it. And if it sees anything, it stops. We can now go around obstacles. It does a nice wide sort of circle arc around that obstacle and can keep going. But that's it. I mean, that's all it does. It's not gonna call your customers. It's not gonna, go do bill collection or take up more money. That's up to you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do edging or weeding or blowing either.
Well, and I think you brought up a good point. I mean, so like, as you know, I mean, I run the Husqvarnas and I'm doing Ambrosios
Sure.
now. And, I
Great. Those
felt
are
like
great products.
what's that? Yeah, they
Those
were
are
the
great.
best, but they're daily mowers, right?
That's right.
And what I've been trying to tell people, and I want to see if you agree with this, is, the biggest mistake I feel the industry is making is everybody has this thought process of, well, when they develop something that does everything, then I'm in.
Right.
And I'm always trying to ask people, like, look at your current landscape trailer. You don't have one 52 or 60 or 70, 72
Exactly.
inch zero turn. You have a zero turn, you have a walk behind, you have a small 20-inch mower. So why are we forcing the automation companies to come up with a one and done? That's
Bingo.
unrealistic, right? So one of the things that I've been saying, and hopefully we'll expand on this in this podcast, is, I think in the future, CBQ, there's going to be a huge place for yours, because there is huge wide open mowing, a lot of big acreage. Is going to be a place for the Husqvarnas and the Ambrosios and the small homeowner lawns that do maybe want to get cut once a day, and you can't really stripe it. I mean, there are some places that we do in Lake Forest that the yards are so small they're push mowing them.
Right.
So it's all about really starting to get a feel, being open to all of the advancements in the technology, trying it, and then putting it into your business model.
It's the right tool for the right job.
Tool for the right job. Absolutely. Agreed. And I think the tool you've developed is the right tool for a lot of jobs. I will say that.
It is interesting. What we did to build this product is we just asked our customers what to build. In fact, a little known story is that when I started this company, I pretended to be a Georgia Tech student. That's the college I went to here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I called up landscapers, and I would say, first of all, well, hey, if you could wave your magic wand and to fix anything in the business. And they said, oh, well, routing is huge, time suck, traffic. And I was like, ooh, I can't fix that. That's a harder one. And then they said, well, I can't find enough people. And I was like, oh, well, why is that? And they said, I don't know why, but it's just been the worst, so people don't want to come out and do the hard work and make these things look beautiful. I mean, we have the work, And so I said, well, can I ride along? Can I go with your crews? And so I did. I strapped on my boots and put on a shirt and went out with them. And I watched and I timed the activities that they were doing. And I said, well, on a job site, I was like, well, hey, what took the longest? And he was like, I remember one of the guys said, oh, it was the edging of the pruning of the bushes. And I was like, well, I timed it, and like the mowing was the longest. And he's like, yeah, but we always have to do that. He's like, I just put on my headphones and, we have like this, that's sort of, given. And I was like, is it though? So I think there was a lot of assumptions that people were making. And then they said, oh, well, the robo mowers don't work because they just, they have to cut, all the time, right? The reason that, they say daily cut, right, is that it's an inefficient algorithm. If you open that thing up, which I've cracked them all open, and, there's a microcontroller in the code, I could write, and, my kids could write. It's when you hit the wire, bounce in a random direction. And I know there's some advancements coming up in that, and I'm happy to see that. But, so the reason it does have to run all the time is because it is inefficient. We know, when you ask a landscaper to do it, they don't random bounce around the yard until they're done. They just, line up and, stripe it, which is the most efficient way to do it. Yes, it also looks nice. Like the background behind me in my sort of video if you saw the video.
It looks nice. Yeah, I've seen
it. It does look very nice. By the way. Yeah. So, our customers told us what to build. And so we just built exactly that. They said, you know what? I don't want another robot. In fact, what I'd really love is for my right stander ZK to have autopilot. And I said, okay, let's build that. So we did.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that, like I said, something I've always had to overcome, because of course, I'm a dealer, I sell all these robots, and, I do always have to overcome the striping. Right. And I will say, once again, it's like in certain markets, certain customers want it striped, and I'm doing sports fields and big, big commercial sites. If I had an operator back, and I still do mow the traditional way right now on some of my accounts, they would literally say, did you give me somebody different? The lines don't look the same, right? So some customers do look. On the flip side, a lot of residential customers, you know, they don't really look at the lines. They look at how the other things are getting done, the pruning,
Correct.
the weeding,
Yes.
the trimming. And what I always found, and one of the reasons that I got as a contractor, what I saw this as a wide open space, and I'm so passionate, much like you, by the way. Your energy is great. I feel like we share a mutual energy for this type, passion, I should say, for what we're doing. But I realized, okay, what's the biggest excuse why those other tasks don't get done?
Bingo.
You said it. He said, well, we always have to mow. That's what happens. The employees say, well, we always have to mow, so we'll just skip the trimming until next week. Well, then the customer waits another week and says, well, I thought you were going to trim this week. That is one thing that I want every landscaper, and if you have just an open mind, we've all taken those complaints, so this, and it makes sense, right? Because when we all know, if you skip a week of mowing, it's going to be worse next week. So you can't skip it. But once the bushes push out, they're done, so it's like, then you can't even really get on your employees, but the customers are still upset. And if, like you said earlier, if the repetitive tasks are taken, the other tasks that the homeowners really expect perfection and manicured look, now they have the time to spend. So anyways, so before we go, just talk all automation, I do want to catch up. I want to get our audience understanding you, right? So, tell us a little bit about your background, your childhood, where you grew up. Because, I look at myself, and a lot of who I am has nothing to do with anything other than how I was brought up. Right. I mean,
yeah, totally.
So I want to learn more about you. So
sure. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, pretty idyllic childhood, great mom, great dad. One of the fun stories of things that we did that will lead into sort of what I do is we had an idea one time to, my dad and mom have always been, my dad had been very entrepreneurial, and he encouraged us to start things and start businesses. So one of the more formative memories I have is when I was very young is we started a recycling business. And so what we would do is we would hop in my mom's van, leave the door open, and we basically put out flyers to all the neighbors that we were going to, collect recycling. And I'm not going to date myself, but this was early 80s. And so you could actually take that to a big recycling center. You get some money for it, especially cans and, bottles and that kind of thing. And we weren't too rich. And so it was fun. And one of the things I learned that really impacted me was that we would go and basically pick up trash that people were going to throw away because there were no recycling at the time, really, unless you went to these places, and we would get money for it. That's like ultimate zero-sum game, which is something I and my co-founder totally believe about entrepreneurship, is that when you create a business, you're not taking something away from somebody. You're not taking from this or stealing or extracting or whatever. When you do entrepreneurship, it is a zero-sum game that you are getting better, your business is getting better, you're improving other people's lives. It is a net positive win and one of the most amazing forces of good. And so to have that lesson that you could basically create a business out of trash and like create value for your neighbors who loved it, who thought they were doing good for the environment, and you could make some money, like it was awesome. And I still remember that to this day. And so of all the businesses I have started, like I love telling people I'm an entrepreneur and love starting things. And so that was sort of baked into me. The other thing that was baked in is I've been surrounded by computers and software my entire life. My dad also was a psychologist doing some of the first computerized testing. And so we had a computer at home and always, had something going on. I remember writing my first program when I was very young. I don't remember what age, but, it was a game where you'd sort of say, it was in Basic A, if anybody knows what that is, on the Apple II. And it would say, like, hey, tell me your favorite fruit. And you'd type, banana or whatever. And it said, okay, now spell it. And you'd try and spell banana again. And if you didn't spell the word IT, it would say, ha, 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 I tricked you. Anyway, it's a really lame story, but, it was one of my favorite games that I built. And then I moved on from there. I just been programming my entire life. So doing it is very natural to me. So programming, entrepreneurship, solving problems, both of those things have really shaped me into the person that I am today.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. We, not programming, but I always say, as an entrepreneur, the best entrepreneurs are the best problem solvers.
Bingo. Totally agree.
That's what it is, So
it's like this ultimate amazing feedback loop that you get from, I know that I think I've spoken to a lot of millennials, not to bash them or anything. Your co-host is one, maybe. But there's this like sometimes this like they talk about wealth as being bad or greed, and like money is this amazing feedback loop you get from entrepreneurship that, if your product is good, then there's this, you get money, and money is a sign of value. And I just don't think there's anything bad about it. I don't want to get too far into that because it may be kind of weird, but
yeah. So
like you solve the problem, you get money.
So not all millennials, just like not all people are created equal.
That's true. That's true.
Julia is with me all the time. Yeah.
I'm amazing. I bet she picks up amazing amounts of that.
It is.
Yeah, and I don't mean to blanket statements.
No. I know, but I'm just saying. But I do agree. I will say this. There has been, and we won't go too far into it, but I do want to expand on it a touch. I don't know what it is about our society, but it's, I don't necessarily want to call it jealousy, but it's like you want to drag people down that have a lot of money so that people that don't have a lot of money can have more. The issue is it's never going to work, because some people have a tremendous amount of drive and will always do something to have more, and other people are content. And what I always say is it'll get better if we get to a day and age where the people that are content and just want to be content, let them be content, but don't penalize the people like you and I that are so passionate about what we do. I mean, I don't know. I think I can speak for you because you got a big smile on your face. So I'm going to assume this, it's like I wake up in the morning and come to my office and start to work. And sometimes it'll be a Saturday or Sunday and it'll be like, oh, you're going to work today. I'm like, no, this is not work to me. Like, I just enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that some people are just so fortunate to find their passion and what they love. And once you find that, the money's going to come. The money will come, so totally. Put in the hours. Anyways. All right. I'm off that. All right. So we're something else I noticed in our research with you. I see you're into sailing, and I love boating. Yeah. I only sailed for a small time in my life, a little lightning class sailboat. And then I went the easy route with just going on Lake Michigan in my 2-engine boat and going to see the skyline. But tell me about that, because sailing is something else all in itself. So, kind of hit on that a little bit and tell me what you love about it.
Sure. Yeah. The thing I think I love about sailing is there's this unique science behind it that I didn't really get. And, growing up doing it, my dad had a boat, and we had the little Hobie Cat, which is basically those 2 little pontoons and a little trampoline, and you throw up the sail, and we just would tool around the lake in Atlanta and Charlotte, and when we moved there. And one of the things I think people get about sailing that's kind of cool when you explain it is that there's only one direction you can't go, and that's directly into the wind. Now that means you can like go sideways and actually even diagonal to the wind. And when people say like, how does that work? And there's science, like it's the Bernoulli principle. And when you look at the sort of top down of it, you're basically putting wind over one side and the other, it creates lift. And I just loved the sort of science and tuning and sort of problem solving that goes along with it. I liked everything about it. You go and you have to set this thing up and you have to build this thing. You have to like put it all together. You have to get your sails ready, and it's just a fun kind of cool sport. And, I wish more people could get into it. They do tell you though, there are 2 good days as a person who boats, and maybe this, Joe, but the day you get it and the day you sell it.
Yes, I do know. Everybody tells me that, but I must love it too much because I don't feel that way, but.
So I just sold mine because I have 2 little kids, and, it's funny, before we had kids, I remember telling my wife, we went out and did our little sailing. We have a sailboat, and perfect weekend where you take the boat out, you have the weekend on the lake. It was perfect. Sunset, sunrise, like really fun. And we get out and we're going home, and I'm like, that was the best sailing weekend we've ever had. We should sell the boat right now. And she's like, oh, why? Like it was so good. And I'm like, that's just kind of my Emma, my wife's hilarious. She puts up with me, but cause I'm like, that was it. Like just sell it right now. And she was like, well, I don't know if I want to. And I'm like, all right, fine. So a year it sat at the marina before a broker came by and said, hey, I'll buy it from you. And I was like, done.
Yeah.
So I should have sold it then, but totally fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, yeah. So I like I said, I agree with you. I think that I've always said anybody that just runs a power boat, like the one I have now, should have a basic understanding of sailing. So they also understand there's a reason the sailboats are doing this across the water, because most people don't have any idea why that happens, So, there's a reason.
Oh, thank you. I wish there were more power boaters like you. When on a sailboaters would always be like those power boaters.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're doing the opposite, right?
You're trying to flip the mast, and here comes a big weight from a boat, and you're like, thanks a lot. Now I got to deal with your wake and the wind shift, but, all right. Well, anyways, off of that. So, you told us about picking up garbage with your mom and stuff. I don't, or with your family, I should say.
Recycling. Yeah.
Recycling. Yep. And I don't know that I would, if you consider that like a first job, but like, did you ever have a job? I mean, were you always kind of into doing something yourself, or what was your first job and what did you take from it in your later entrepreneurial endeavors?
I appreciate you asking. The first real job I had was at a computer store. So I was putting together computers at one of these sort of retail, little in the mall sort of computer places. And I was pretty good at it. I even built like a web-based sort of app to like configure these things. And I did really well at it, and to where I was kind of running the shop even when I was in high school. And I remember one day I had a cell phone. My number was 50 Brian, which was, I used to go by Charles Brian Quinn. And anyway, I'll get to that later. But, and this was in high school, and they would keep calling me. They'd be like, "What's up with this machine?" And I'm like, "I can't answer you. Like, I'm in high school. Like, this is not, like, call me later." And so that was a fun job though. Like, I ultimately sort of rose up to the level of like, just problem solving. And I had a blast doing it. It was super fun. I mean, I remember all kinds of crazy times where we would get into trouble selling these things and then trying to figure out how to do it. And I was a bunch of great seminal lessons in really, the value of like having customers who are happy, promising one thing, and then also even promising maybe a little more and rising up to that. So just a lot of great lessons there. But I loved working in a computer store. Later on, when I went to college, I had my own sort of company doing websites and things like that. And really enjoyed that as well. Sort of the idea of like paying, me to do stuff. I always was selling stuff too. We sold a bunch of stuff on eBay and all that kind of stuff. So tons of jobs, and then really got into software and entrepreneurship, sort of right after college. Like, can I start something? How do I do this? How do I really start a business and grow it and scale it? And I've been lucky on a couple. I've started a few, and one has been really successful, and the next that I'm in right now seems extremely successful. So very, very lucky to have those. But a lot of at bats, so to speak.